Reproduction was women's business, but it was also a public affair. The degree to which women controlled the realm of childbirth might be seen as empowering, both in the household and in the community. The patriarchal establishment in 18th century England was nothing new to society. With the Industrial Revolution on the rise and strictly enforced gender roles, the English people were at a crossroads, especially the women. Although the feminist movement did not officially commence until 1848 at Seneca Falls, women leading up to this date had been striving for gender equality on the basis of women's rights for years. Due to the availability of resources in the field of medicine and midwifery, as well as the introduction of literature that addressed the female perspective, women during the 18th century were pioneers in the feminist movement, as seen in their efforts towards claiming their reproductive rights and overall self-determination. During the mid to late 18th century, the practice of contraception became a deeper symbol for female empowerment across England. With the nation developing economically and commercializing to keep up with the Industrial Revolution, increasing the population was imperative. As a result, population control was taking priority over the well-being of women all over the nation. Some were documented having as many as 15 children, in which cases many did not survive. Considering the medical stance up until this time period, Randolph Chirnbeck, author of The Rise of the Egalitarian Family, states that this mindset of constantly generating children was unnecessarily wearing on women. However, the women of the 18th century were feminists of their own through the identification of their ability to control their body. Not only did women begin to lessen their childbearing, but they practiced methods of contraception, including the use of condoms, vaginal sponges, coitus interruptus, the lactation cycle, abstinence, and abortion. These early feminists understood that at the base of their identity was fundamental reproductive rights. Much of the success of women's sexual and reproductive health in the 18th century is owed to the workings of midwives. Throughout history, midwives have been condemned for witchcraft, eulogized for Christian benevolence, and caricatured for bawdy humor and old wives' tales. Yet midwives, mostly female, were simply those who studied either through formal education or practical apprenticeship the trade of pregnancy, childbirth, and overall female sexual and reproductive health care. Their focus was always on the life and safety of the woman, another example of feminism appearing in the 18th century. Martha Ballard, a revolutionary woman herself, took on the role of midwife, physician, nurse, mortician, pharmacist, and more, while leaving behind a first-hand account of all her work in such fields. She was constantly navigating the mysteries of life and death, looking to heal those around her with her knowledge of natural remedies and procedures. Martha serves as a key figure in this concept of 18th century feminism through her dedication to the health of women. English society during the 1700s was circulating with knowledge around the issues of menstruation and abortion. According to Percival Willoughby, an abortion is the sudden exclusion of the child, already formed and alive, before the perfect maturity thereof. Local experienced women and midwives were the sources of information regarding these methods to procure abortions or induce one's menstrual cycle. The terminology used during this century is intriguing with regards to the feminist movement, because midwife manuals recalled miscarriages as the destruction, intentional or unintentional, of a fetus. They did not use the word abortion, and therefore women did not consider this an act of murder. Instead, it was male figures, typically religious, that fought on those terms. The was purely a miscarriage. Emmenagogues, or herbal remedies that would induce menstruation or bring down the flowers, were abundant in England, some of them being bear's foot, watercress seeds, dittany, opium, and hyssop. Hemp was known as the devil's flower and would directly produce a miscarriage, along with savin, the most commonly used, which was a deeply poisonous shrub that stimulated the loss of a fetus. Other than these anticonceptive weeds, Angus MacLaren states that terminating unwanted pregnancies was accomplished through other means, such as harsh exercise, tight bandaging, girdles, and even battering. Women who utilized these opportunities and methods exercised dominion over their own fleshed terrain and claimed autonomy in a society that attempted to strip them of their opportunity to choose. Catherine Rogers, author of Feminism in 18th Century England, states, "Since oppression of women was based on ill-defined moral assumptions or alleged natural deficiencies, any clear-headed examination of their situation was potentially liberating. This highlights the idea that women prior to the 18th century had fallen victim to the male-dominated structure of society, which determined their freedom and consequently the outcome of their bodies. Women of the 18th century who opened their mental horizons to the field of contraception and female health care recognized the importance of examining their situation. This is fundamental in the push for equality and the basis of the feminist movement." Literary genius A. for Ben told the tale of a young pregnant woman in 18th century London, faced with the decision of being exiled or conforming to societal norms, which underscores the need for female autonomy through reproductive rights. Titled The Adventure of the Black Lady, the protagonist Bellamora has been seduced and fallen by Mr. Falmouth and is now expecting his child. Unsure of whether or not she wants this child or a marriage to Mr. Falmouth, she flees the countryside and heads to London in hopes to make a clearer decision for herself. The focus here is on Bellamora's desire to choose for herself, regarding her body and her future. Highly progressive for the time, she considers herself ruined due to her situation and the fact that she believes Mr. Falmouth will not want to marry her. This is an example of how society leading up to the 18th century and even beyond enforced the idea that women did not have a say in their life decisions. Their parents chose their husbands controlled them financially, and their culture governed them socially. Bellamora temporarily breaks this mold by wanting nothing more than to choose freely for herself and acting on that desire by fleeing to the city. Her feelings of being immobile result in a psychological crisis. Having a child out of wedlock was dreadful to a person of her youth, beauty, education, and estate. However, she resolutely protested that she had rather undergo all this than be exposed to the scorn of her friends and relations in the country. Ben's story speaks volumes about England's attitude towards female autonomy and single motherhood, reflecting on the culture's disapproval of both and a requirement to see them in literature in order to begin to accept them. In terms of the feminist movement, Bellamora refused to accept Falmouth's proposal at first, and questioned societal norms that she was expected to follow regarding her pregnancy and marriage. She recognized her ability to examine her condition as her own and not society's. Overall, the struggles presented for women in the 18th century revolved around their battle between obedience and independence. While society deemed them as crucial in the mass production of children, their own physical well-being was at stake, and therefore many women exercised their right to their reproductive system, being the first round of feminists. This theme branches out beyond cultures and time periods towards humanity as a whole, making a call to recognize the need for a female voice in a male-dominated society and acknowledging those who have assisted in the feminist movement, such as Ballard, Ben, and millions of others who fought in silence.